Okay, welcome back to a special episode of the Cosmic Business Breakthrough podcast. Today, I am joined by the amazing Lauren White, who is a qualified sexologist and a business mentor who activates you to step out of your little girl and be the red-blooded woman for a climactic business, body, and bedroom. She's an author, and she's also the host of an upcoming or yet to be released podcast called White Hot Business. And I am so excited for this podcast release. But the reason that I want to talk to Lauren today is not only because she has been one of my amazing mentors, but because now we've flipped the script a little bit and I am working with her as her cosmic business support person or mentor. And we are going to get into why that's happening as we go. But Lauren's expertise is really in helping us as particularly female entrepreneurs claim back our power, our visibility, and our pleasure in business. And I just think this is so important as we step into 2024 with the energies at play, particularly with a lot of this energy playing out around truth or reality versus unreality, this whole AI world that we're really stepping into in 2024 and we're going to be going into the next couple of decades. How do we claim back our own power and stand out in the market? That's what we're here to talk about today, but not just in our business, also in our personal lives, in the bedroom, in all the ways that we need to reclaim ourselves as women. So thank you so much for joining me today, Lauren.
It's an absolute pleasure. I've had this on the calendar for a while now, and I've felt the momentum building towards being here today. So I'm excited that I can finally release and unleash.
Brilliant. I love that. So for people who don't know you and haven't heard you, because you have been on this podcast before, let's, going back to right at the beginning, tell us about how this comes together, this idea of your experience and knowledge and expertise as a sexologist and connecting that with your experience and expertise as a business mentor. Why did they come together so beautifully and how does it all work?
Yeah, it's a fabulous question, and a marriage that's organically happened over the years. I want to emphasize this hasn't been a one day I'll wake up and I'll marry these incredible bodies of work and highlight the overlap to hundreds and thousands of women. It's been an evolution. And I mean, really it came from the place of noticing that the more satisfied I was within my sensual self and my personal power and my authority, the more my business grew. There was just there is and remains to this day this clear correlation between personal satisfaction, how at ease I am with my pleasure, how much I indulge my own pleasure, how much I play and explore and experiment through my body, and how my business goes. And this gift, this gem, this treasure of knowledge that I now, and wisdom that I now carry, I want every other woman in on the secret. I want every other woman in on this secret so that she can experience a revolution within herself that is then reflected into her business.
I love that. Yeah. So how does that go with your clients? Like, what do you think is the main thing that you are kind of reigniting in them when they come to you? What is the main thing that's going on and why do we need this so much?
Yeah. The main thing that my clients are going through is some sort of transition. It's like they know something big is coming. They know there's this more that they want to access within their personal lives and their professional endeavors. And they know that they need an up level or an upgrade within their, what I call their personal operating system, in order to really be primed for to hold all of that, to hold the wealth that they want to hold, to be the magnetic woman that they want to be, to exude the power that they want and the presence that they want to have when they're on stage or when they're online. And when they know that and they come across my work, they recognize that they need that reignition. They need that remembering of what it is that turns them on, what it is that does it for them, what it is that they're most intensely passionate about. And all that's happened is that at some point, the volume on their head became incredibly high, and the volume on their body and their spirit and their, what I call their turn on, that just went really low under a bunch of stories, conditioning, working in quite patriarchal systems or corporate. That's all that's happened. And they're looking for that reignition, because now they're doing their own thing and they don't have to do things in this old, systematic, stale, this is the way it's done. They recognize, oh, I'm doing this because I want freedom, but how free am I if I'm just doing things the way that I think that I should, rather than the way that works for me, the way that excites me, the way that gets my blood pumping through my veins. And normally when they come across my work, they go through this awakening of sorts, just hearing that this is possible for them. And that's how they come into contact with this new possibility that maybe they knew was available, but didn't have tangible access to it. And there is that reawakening. It's like, oh, it can be different. It can be better. It can be more.
Yeah, and that's certainly why I came to you when I came to you, I think in 2022, the beginning of 2022 was I realized, even though I had pivoted my business and I was going through that transition in my business, I was like, there's something here that I need to access more of myself. I need to access more of myself, and I need to get into my authority, and I need to get into my body more, and all of that kind of thing, in order to feel more powerful. And it was, because of the work that we did together, that I launched this podcast, because I felt more in my power and in my body and in my own pleasure as well, like knowing what direction I could go in that would really turn me on and make me excited about my business again. So I love the connection between, and maybe this is also my Taurus, that, finding the pleasure is so important, right, in life, and being excited about what we do really is what attracts people to us. If we're not excited about our work, who's going to care about what we're talking about, or what we're working on? Like, it's a turn off, isn't it?
It is
It's
a
like,
turn off.
you've got to be in that zone yourself in order to attract the right kinds of opportunities and clients and money and all of that stuff to you. So I love this.
Yeah.
I love this work.
Yeah. You're absolutely just before you go on, you've hit a really salient point that I've said so many times to people. You have to love your offer the most. You have to love it. That is your obligation as a business owner, to be so deeply in love with your offer within your beautiful business that you love the most as well. And that way it just rolls off the tongue. It just feels easeful. It's like when you feel proud and you feel like this is a no-brainer, this is just so incredible, it's so rich, it's so juicy, it's such a turning me on, it's making my nipples hard to talk about it, I'm getting goosebumps. When you get to that, it's easy. And if you create this standard, and then when you notice if you're at another vibration, and I know you've seen me do this, I try and pull a rabbit out of the hat, and I just go, this sounds cool. And like, does that offer get taken up? No. But when does it get taken up? It gets taken up when I'm at that vibration of, this is a no-brainer, like this is incredible, and I believe in it. And yeah, it's just that is such an important part of running a turned on business.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So speaking of running a turned on business, how does this all work when it comes to our branding, our imagery? Let's talk about taking our power back when it comes to our brand, our personal brand, our voice, our message, obviously, but also the way that we present ourselves. Because as I talked about in the intro, we're up against some pretty significant astrology in the coming years, in this year and in the following years. And I don't just mean that like we're up against the astrology. I mean the astrology and the general, energy of this time is that we are going through a massive transition around technology, and in particular artificial intelligence, and what that might mean for imagery, what that might mean for our words, what that might mean for our online presence in general, which is so important in business. And understanding what's true, what's real about that person, and what's AI generated is going to become more and more blurred. And we are struggling to set ourselves apart. And so there is this kind of tendency to go, well, maybe AI can help me with this. Maybe AI can come up with this great image, or this great, this great website, or whatever it is, to help me position myself. But what I love about what you work with female entrepreneurs on is really allowing them to take their own power back and show themselves in their fullest expression.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love for you to talk about why that's so important in this age of AI, and like, what's been your experience so far, and what have you noticed about this kind of this trend to want to improve, and I'm using quotation marks, improve ourselves through the use of artificial intelligence so that we're more palatable?
Yeah, it's something that I've thought a lot about in recent months, and what's given me that food for thought is tapping into my personal Facebook feed in particular, and seeing some of the women that I'm connected with using AI images of themselves, like very obvious AI images of themselves with a caption. And I find it fascinating to observe how I respond to that when I witness it. And put plainly, the first thing I think is not real. And as someone who has truth and authenticity as my top 6 values that have remained unchanged for the last 12 or so years, I find it really fascinating to go, I know that woman is incredible. I know her unique voice is incredible. But to just see this fake picture of her, synthetic picture of her, is quite jarring to me. And I know that that's not her, and that's not all of her, and it can be fun and playful. I just find it fascinating that we are in a deficit of realness, of authenticity, of truth, of this is my turn on, this is my turn on, not yours, not yours, not yours. This is my turn on. This is what I feel compelled to say. Like, we are all hungry for that. And for this to be moving into this era, and to have that diluted with something that isn't real, as good as the words may be, I'm curious about who chooses to take up those offers or enlist that service when there's a repetitive use of AI. I'm curious to see where this goes. And I don't have the answers right now. I can speak for myself and say it's a turnoff. I've always been fascinated with the taboo. Sophia's done my chart extensively, and the words that she said to me once that completely stuck with me were, just do what Jupiter wants you to do. Just do what Jupiter wants you to do. And
Right.
what Jupiter wants me to do is, my Jupiter is in Scorpio, and it says you are very comfortable speaking about the taboo, the things that no one wants to talk about, quote unquote, the truth. And I just say that's my truth at any given moment. That's a completely changeable aspect of my identity, as it is for everyone. And as someone who values those deep conversations and deep tones and textures, and I love color, and I love gold, and I love the Art Deco period. I'm obsessed with it. And that richness. And when I see an AI image, I go, I get how fantastical it is. And it really, there's a part of it that it initially ignites my fantasy world, which is very rich. But I immediately just go, but it's not real. Like, I can't go to that place and taste it and experience it and choose to be in it. So it feels like a tease to me, but not a tease that leads you somewhere, leads you to a climax. Feels like a tease that just fizzles. And that's my personal take. So I'm very curious. I'll just add briefly, I've also used AI only to take things that I've said in the name, in a transcript. I've taken several transcripts, had someone put them through AI, and it doesn't even sound like me. We have tried like multiple times, multiple different ways, and I'm left feeling incredibly frustrated that I've just read, this does not even sound like my voice. It just sounds like a robot wrote this. Like, you've got the words, but I can't feel the feeling. And I'm curious to know, I know that if I gave you one of the pieces that I put through GPT, I know that you would go straight away. I know that they're your concepts, but that doesn't sound like you when you speak and when you express. So I'm curious about using it as a selective tool, but I would never, mark my words, I will never lean all the way back on it, because it's not me and it can't emulate me at this point in time.
Yeah. And I've talked about AI a few times on this show and the benefits of it as well, because I do have a whole episode on how you can use AI to do research and customer research. And I think, and astrology, use it to work with astrology for customer research. And I think there are some things about it that are really going to be very helpful. And research is one of those things that AI can help you with, or like summarizing a lot of information really fast, or, but when it comes to your voice and your brand, that is something that AI can't and shouldn't be able to replicate, because it should be authentic to you, and it should be, something that people can feel.
Yes.
And you're right. You lose the feeling in AI. You lose it because, that's not what it's designed for, right? And then maybe one day it will be.
Yeah.
But I think then we lose our connection to each other as humans, as people, right? If we rely overly on technology to create our businesses and run our businesses for us. And we do get already so much assistance from AI to run our businesses, and that will continue. But those things, the brand, the messaging, the visibility piece, the imagery, that should be authentic to you. That should be real.
Yes.
And there's a story that I wanted to bring up into this conversation, because I saw it. There was a politician in Australia, a female politician who was recently on the news, and they used a photo of her from that she was photographed in a local paper, and one of the television news channels used that photo, and they changed it. They augmented her breasts. Her boobs were bigger. They made it look like she was wearing a crop top. And she wasn't, in real life. And apparently the news organization that did this said they couldn't put it down to a person. It wasn't a person's fault. It was an AI program they were using. And I was like, this is outrageous.
Yeah.
On a number of fronts.
Yeah.
First of all, it is absolutely their responsibility to make sure
Yes.
that images of people are not doctored before they're put on the news. And second of all, why is an AI program altering a woman's image to give her bigger boobs and make her look like she's wearing a midriff top? And what does that mean about what we're doing to ourselves, even from like an Instagram filter perspective?
Yeah.
We're constantly trying now with the power of AI, we're constantly trying to quote unquote improve our appearance to fit some sort of like standard.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
we're back in that whole women need to get up to this certain standard. And yet it's so obviously fake.
Yes.
It's so obviously fake, and that person is then her substance as a politician is removed because
Yeah.
she becomes this objectified
Yep.
image, right?
Yeah. Without her
Instead of whatever
consent.
she's without her consent, instead of
Mhm.
what she's actually there to talk about,
Yeah.
the focus has become on her physical body and
Mhm.
the the fakeness of what they've done to it. So reflecting on that in our own businesses, why do you think it's so important when it comes to our own photography, particularly in our businesses, that
Mm.
we really think about creating something that is of substance, of authenticity, of truth, of ourselves, instead of using AI?
Yeah. Oh, it's a pleasure to answer this question. The first thing that comes to mind is, I think what's going to become more valuable than money, and is becoming more valuable than money in some ways, is presence and attention. And the way that you being congruent in your body with how you hold it and what your brand is in a photo shoot conveys 1,000 words in a nanosecond to someone. Like, nothing says this is my body of work like just even one incredible, captivating picture that you can capture in a photo shoot. It says, I'm here. It says, I'm real. It says, this is what I'm about. It says, this is what I stand for. It says, this is what my standard is. And there's just no way that AI can adequately convey all of that information in one snapshot, because it's not real. And what people say they value is realness, authenticity, presence, those incredible aspects of humanity. And the way that we can capture that in real time is through, in my opinion, is through a photo shoot that conveys exactly what you want it to convey. And when I see AI, I just think, who is that? Like, where are they? Like, what do they stand for? I can't feel them and experience them the same way I can when I see a real image or a real video reel or video of someone that I admire, that I'm drawn to, maybe I'm magnetized to. It's a whole different experience. But the main takeaway is an incredible, aligned, embodied photo shoot says, I'm here, I'm real, And do you want to come along with me for what it is that I'm here to activate, ignite within you? That's what that's what I love most about photo shoots.
What do you say to the women in business who really struggle to have that photo shoot done? Because I think the temptation there of AI, and I see this both from a photo perspective and from a written perspective. There is such temptation there that, this is going to solve my problem, and I don't have to face this difficult thing, which is getting in front of a camera and feeling awkward and uncomfortable, and like, I really don't like this part of business of having to be the face, or of like, I don't know how to pose. What do
Mm.
you say to those women who really struggle with the concept of a photo shoot, and therefore AI would be a kind of an easy win for them?
Yeah. I feel you. I understand what it is like to have experience anxiety around being seen, being fully seen in that way. I understand you. I understand what it's like to experience fear and anxiety around fully being seen, especially by a camera, and knowing that image is going out into the world, and that might concern you because you don't feel that you have control over how people perceive you. The twist is that when you start to know and love your body, how your body moves, what turns your body on, how to take the concepts of your work and have them drip down into your body and experience a congruent expression of those pillars of your work. When you play with that in private, and then you have a brazen enough to put that into a photo shoot, you are saying so many words in one go, and you get so many, like the dopamine hit that you get now from the relief of like sweeping that under the carpet. Just know, if you are truly in this for the long game, and I know that you are if you're listening, then avoiding now just creates a bigger problem later that you have to catch up on. When you're noticing that you're not standing out from the crowd because you have these images that don't really look like anything, they don't look like you, and people can't feel you and they can't experience you because you're hiding and you're masked and you're concealed. So this will become an issue later on that you'll need to address, and then you'll have more to kind of strip back and more to build up in regards to your confidence and your power. Do it sooner rather than later. Feel the rush that is being in your body and experiencing the things that you talk about in your business, what it is that you're here to do. Feel that through your body and start getting good at that, because if you want to speak on stage, you have to physically be on stage, and you need to be comfortable in your body if you're going to be on stage. So the sooner you do the work in private, the easier it's going to be to bring that out into the public sphere so that people can feel you and be magnetized to you. I can't tell you how many clients have come through my work because they've seen me, either met me in person or seen me speak, and they feel in that half an hour or those 45 minutes, they feel all those years of work I've done in real time in an instant, and then go on to choose to do the work. And that to me is creating a really efficient bridge that's more efficient than rolling out this fake, inauthentic content on social media where your content just gets drowned out by all the other content that looks like yours. This is about standing out. This is about you being in your power and you getting in on the deeper dopamine rush that is being in your body and being seen and heard. I cannot convey what a high, what a climax it is when you are seen in your work and you look out to the audience and you can hear a pin drop. There is no well, apart from orgasm itself, there is no greater sensation. I cannot. So you are missing out and
Mm.
chasing short dopamine hits that are not going to give you the satisfaction of the big one when you do the deeper work.
That fear that we have often around being seen, about posing, about having our photos taken, about, and you and I have talked about this before, this perceived frivolity of having a photo shoot
Mm.
in business, which when you are your personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
I get very I get on my soapbox about this, that there is nothing frivolous about having a photo shoot when you are a personal brand. You
No
are the
way.
goods.
You are
You
the
are the
goods.
goods.
You are the product and you are the
Yes,
service.
exactly. So how you couldn't sell a product or service without good photos.
No.
So,
No.
you know, you have to sell yourself, and nobody, and like I've had this conversation with many a copywriting client, you know, as a business advisor. You want to hide, your instinct is to hide, but people want to connect with people. People want to connect with you. They want to see your face. They want to go, oh, that person feels inviting to me.
Mm.
It's not about it's and I don't want to get this confused with that person looks like me or looks, you know, it's not about working with people who are the same as you. It's
Yes.
about working with people who feel like you can feel their energy and
Mm.
you feel invited into their world.
Mm.
And so, any kind of, not what I love about the work that you do is it's not about any kind of photos. It's not about like that, let's just take that, you know, office headshot on the white wall,
Grant.
you know, or even those original, like we've talked about this before, like the original photos that I did for my business, you know, you're sitting there at your desk with the laptop or in the coffee shop with your laptop. I was a copywriter, you know, fair enough. But that was like the stock standard. That's what you
Yeah.
do. But there's no real feeling of the brand. There's no real feeling of me as a person, who I'm interacting with that. You've really got to be able to bring yourself to the table. And
Yes.
that's how then people go, oh yeah, that's the person that I want to be in their energy. You know, I want to work with that person.
Mm.
I sense their I sense them, I feel their presence through that photo and through their words. Like, you know, what I do
Both.
is words, but
Mm.
I think it's such a combination of both, and you can't think that having your photos done is frivolous when people have to connect with that,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
you. And importantly, having your photos done, and when you have your photos done, being able to channel that,
Mm.
you know, being able to channel that experience through the photos, that takes it to the next level. And that's what I loved. I was at your most recent photo shoot,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I watched you go through that process of channeling that into the photos, and that is quite a cool thing to watch. And I think if
Yeah.
anybody wants to experience that themselves, they absolutely have to work with you. Unless you know how to do this yourself. It's not, I don't think this comes to us naturally. It's like anything that comes through our own um maturity, you know,
Mm.
like comes with a little bit of it, comes with our maturity, you know. And as women in our 40s, we often um we feel more comfortable in our bodies
Yeah.
generally,
Yeah.
right? So it might be easier for us now. Not if some people feel really comfortable in their bodies from a young age, but I think that a lot of women feel that pressure, and that the thing that we were talking about earlier, like this pressure to conform to a certain standard, and then that's what makes them feel awkward and like,
Mm.
you know, am I going to come across right? But from what I understand from what you teach, it's more like it's not about how you come across. It's not about coming across right. It's about coming across as you. There's no
Yes.
right.
Yes, there's no right. There's no right. If you are in your power and pleasure in a photo shoot, you can't lose. You will get cracking photos.
Mm.
You will get exquisite shots when you move your body, when you are willing to be curious about how you can move your body in different ways in the different outfits that you choose. This is not about being a good dancer. This is none of those. It's none of those things. It's about capturing natural, human, magnetic expressions that are available to all of us when we
Mm.
are willing to go beyond this plastic smile that we think we have to plaster on in order to look quote unquote friendly as women and
Oh
nice and
yeah, that.
approachable and hospitable and concepts that I work with women within their businesses because it's concepts like that that are keeping them suspended from their turn on and are
Mm.
draining their magnetism and their power dry. So the photo shoot, it's about the thing that I love, one of the many things I love about a photo shoot is that how it marks a moment in time and marks a
Mm.
moment in your evolution. It's like a timestamp. And I
Yeah.
can think of all of my photo shoots over the years and know exactly what energy I was in and what my messaging was and what was so important to me at that time. And I love it. I'd go, oh, that was the time when I was talking about that. And it was really important to me. That's the time, that's the phase that I went through there. And that's just part of it. It marks
Mm.
this moment in time. And my daughters see my photos and they go, wow, like that's so cool. And then they'll see an outfit that I've worn in a
Mm.
photo shoot. And
Yeah.
it's about that role modeling. It's about so much more than me. It's about who is seeing that imagery, who
Mm.
is getting permission from you to be something
Yeah.
that's locked inside of them. And I just use it as an incredible opportunity. And you have to remember it's such a powerful investment in your business and yourself because your images become your podcast imagery,
Mm.
right? It
Yeah.
becomes what you put all over your website. It becomes your profile picture for anything online. It becomes obviously your social media content. And
Yeah.
something I wanted to say that people might not be tapping into is how my nervous system feels not having photos to roll out versus how it feels having photos and reels that are
Mm.
already there,
Yeah.
pre-made, that I can cut up, that I can put to any music I want. Cannot tell you, that is like living my business on the exhale as someone who
Yes.
enjoys the process of marrying the words and the images and values beauty as a Libran and has that Scorpio,
Yes.
that Jupiter in Scorpio and all the things that
Mm.
all the things that you and I have worked on and really highlighted to leverage to my advantage. So I cannot tell you the relief of just going, oh, it's all there in Dropbox. I don't even have
Yeah.
to scroll through and go, I'll use this one for this messaging. I'll use this one for that. And that's why you get a variety within your photo shoot of different positioning and movements and outfits.
Mm.
It's
Yeah. And
incredible feeling.
what I love about the photos too is that coming back to the messaging, like they can
Mm.
really bring the messaging to life for you as
Yes.
well. If you are in that zone of channeling your truth, your essence in the photos, then they will marry so beautifully with your words.
Mm.
Um, and especially if your words are coming from that place of authenticity, which and the messaging is coming from that place of this is really who I am and this is really what I want to
Yeah.
do, and you can get both. You can get the photos and
Yeah.
the words. There's nothing more powerful than that in
Nothing.
marketing. And
Nothing. It feels good. It feels amazing. And sometimes, just to gently insert this in there, sometimes the photos tell me what the words want to be. So if your
yeah.
words are getting stale and you
Mm.
book a photo shoot within the next month or two, watch out for the images you're getting back igniting something in you
Mm.
to write in a way that elevates to the quality of the photos. Just be open to
Yeah,
that. Like if you're feeling just same,
absolutely.
and it's not really working, it's a great way to reignite the people that are following you and capture their attention in a new way with the photos and the congruent words that come from in here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and there is that sense of when you get that next photo shoot back, it's like, "Oh, this is the future of my business." Like, you
Yes.
kind of somehow projecting into the future
Yes.
with those photos of where you wanna be next,
Yes.
and then you realize, like, for me, I'm at that point in my business evolution where I'm like, I've reached that point where I need more photos. I need another photo
Mm.
shoot because I'm not seeing the future self. I've caught up with my photos now. I feel
Yeah.
internally like I've caught up with that version of me that I was projecting out into the future from my last shoot. And so now it's time. Like, what's the next version going to be? It's kind of
Mm.
like this exciting like experiment, but also, and I think that comes down to not everyone is going to feel as strongly about imagery, right?
Mm.
As maybe you and I are, but
Yeah.
I think if you know yourself, know your chart too, because like for me as a Venus ruled chart, the imagery and the brand is so important to
Yeah.
me personally. And I know with you, with so much Venus in your chart,
Yeah.
so that that the beauty and bringing the aesthetic together is so important. But a
Yeah.
lot of my clients in this space have strong Venuses, and so you really want to be able to yeah, to connect that and to project that next version of you out into the future, and see what's gonna get a glimpse into the future, like that's
Yes, yes. That's what it is. It marks the moment in time, and
Mm,
every time I prepare for a photo shoot, I'm
mm,
asking, what does future Lauren wanna see reflected back? What
yeah,
does future me wanna see myself dressed in? And when I'm choosing
mm,
outfits, and I'm thinking about hair and makeup and I'm looking at spaces online, I'm constantly asking that question. I'm asking, what turns me on? Like, where do I get a visceral feeling and
mm,
response to a place? And then I'm asking, would future me be there? Would future me be really proud
mm,
to be in that space? And would she be like, yes, I'm so glad you wore that outfit? Or would she be like, oh, you went for this cheaper option and it just didn't look as good? Like, I'm just always
yeah,
asking.
that's a great point,
Yeah,
yeah,
always using it. And a photo shoot, the investment that you put in comes back to you like
mhm,
beyond tenfold. It's an
mm,
incredible investment when you take the time to be in your body, to nail the vision,
mm,
to have support. Like having you there that last time was invaluable. And I've just marked a line in concrete that's gone, I'm never not going to have a support person there with me.
yeah,
Never again. I will never just do it with myself and my photographer again. Having you there, like, just cannot praise you enough for your support there and getting that incredible B-roll imagery, and just
yeah.
invaluable. So you need support to execute, and other eyes and opinions to execute an incredible photo shoot.
Yeah, having that extra person to get the behind the scenes. I mean, now with the way that we work online, we have to have so much content.
Yeah.
So, that stuff, like just capturing you and the photographer in action, like behind the scenes stuff, having a friend come along to a shoot, or
Mhm.
having a support person, to like you to kind of
Yeah.
guide the shoot even better, next level.
Yeah.
But even if you just have a support person at your shoot to capture that B-roll, that
Mhm.
that is a huge tip. Like these days, you need that extra. Make the most of the photography that you're getting.
Maximize it. Maximize
Um,
it. Get video, get stills, think
mm,
about reels, think about creating thinking about creating like a role, what's it called? Like a speaker kind of
a speaker
role.
reel, yeah.
Sorry, but yeah, just think beyond still. That's my big
Yes,
advice.
it's
Think
definitely
still, but
evolved
you've got
beyond
to
that
think,
now.
you've got to, these days video is a must. It's an
And
absolute
those are
must.
things that currently AI cannot compete
Yep.
with, although we know AI can create video, but But getting these authentic behind the scenes stuff, that is not an AI
Yeah.
thing. And that is something that you can add huge amounts of value and power in your
Mm.
business when you do that.
Yes.
And I know, like, going back to the kind of underlying work that you're doing all the time, like the
Mm.
photo shoot experience, having you there to kind of help people to get on the stage and get themselves out, like get that essence out or channel their essence, or, you know, really be seen for
Mm.
who they are. That is beautiful stuff. But there's so much stuff that goes on underneath that. And I
Yes.
don't want us to kind of gloss over it with, you can just get new photos. Like, there
Yeah.
is so much work. Yes, you can absolutely get new photos, but there's so much that's going on kind of underneath and before you actually get into that space, in
Mm.
order for you to be able to bring that to the table. And that's, what I'd love for you to share a bit more about is, like, this concept which I was really fascinated by, and part of the reason why I got involved as a client of yours in the first place was this concept of, where are we being the little girl, quote unquote, in our business,
Yeah.
and where do we need to step up and
Mm-hmm.
become that red-blooded woman, as you put it.
Mm.
You know, how do we know if we're doing that? How do we know if we're being the little girl? And sometimes I think photos can really show us if
Yeah.
we're in our
Yeah.
little girl or if we're in our woman in
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. So some things I work with, some aspects of the little girl being at the helm of our business, of our body, of our bedroom, some things that I work closely with women on is, most of all, people pleasing, most of all, contorting yourself in order to try and control how someone responds to you and how they see you. And that people pleasing doesn't come from, I want to help and serve, like that's the cover story, but it's a
Mm,
deeper sense of like, I don't want to be seen this way. I want to be
yeah,
seen as this by this person. So I'm going to act in this way in response to them to try and control and manipulate that. So it's a method of self-protection that women undertake when it wasn't safe to fully be themselves as a little girl throughout adolescence. And that kind of that mask has just kind of stayed there in order to make sure that you stay safe. But I want you to know that the power and pleasure that you know that's available to you that you can't quite tap into, it comes when we come to a point where we let the little girl be fully expressed through play and adventure and other means, but we're not asking her to make big, bold decisions as women at the helm of our business. And that
yeah,
happens in client interactions, it happens in interactions with your team. It's like, I'm always asking, how can I be my most powerful, authoritative, honest self in this interaction? Because I know that if I for some reason would default to people pleasing, I'm saying to that client, this is okay. This is
mm,
okay to do. And it's not, because at the end of the day, a cost comes to both parties. One party can't fully see and experience the person doing the people pleasing. The other party feels drained, out of alignment, bitter, resentful, has a cry about it, goes, why is it not fair? Why is this, I'm having a tanty. By the way, I'm all for having a tanty. I think it's a great release. Just do it in private, get it out, and then like
yeah.
get back to it.
Get back to it.
I'm knocking
Have your
things off the
tantrum.
table. That means
Oh,
I'm
good.
getting excited. So go there, do that, have support in private to do that. Just the risk is, and this is what I really want to say, so please hear me, the risk of not tending to your little girl and letting her play and express freely is that she runs your business and there's a lot of repressed, erotic, sensual powerful magnetic energy that can't get expressed, and you end up ends up bleeding into your business in some way, in that you're not fully satisfied, you're not role modeling the things that you talk about with your clients, you're blocking money, or you're not having powerful conversations, or you're not setting clear agreements with people, and they're left feeling confused, or they want to break up the client coach mentor relationship. Your oppressed energy running your business is always going to be a problem. It's always going to come back to bite you. So the more you express that beautiful little girl, let her go out there, and the more you decide to step into your woman, stop being a martyr, stop people pleasing, stop saying I can do it all by myself. No, you can't. We all need support. We all need to be seen. And when we're seen in private, it is so much easier to be seen in public. Just that is your training ground. Be seen in private, and going out into the world, knowing who the fuck you are, what you stand for, what your standards are, what your truth is. Piece of cake, because you are unshakable in your identity. So how important is that? I would say it's imperative, and I would say the best time to address and elevate from your little girl operating system to your climactic operating system, it's always now, and it's always available to you.
And yes, I think there's always a little bit more work to do on that, especially if you've been in that zone of operating for a very long time. It takes a bit of time to kind of, you've got to constantly, I know myself in business, I've got to constantly check myself and be like, wait a moment, are you being, are you doing this from the right place? Like you say, like get yourself back into the place of power. And it doesn't just apply in business, right? It applies in life, because where have we been showing up as a little girl in life? And instead of as the woman in charge, and we can easily dismiss that. But if you really kind of look at yourself and go, okay, it can show up as being a bit of a victim, I think, in some circumstances, instead of taking responsibility and acting to change things. But certainly in business, it can show up in client relationships. And I know that was my experience, when I first started working with you, where I was really trying to reset some dynamics in my client relationships. But I was finding that really difficult because I kept deferring to my little girl instead of stepping up, stepping up as the woman in business. And that's been like this very interesting journey over the past couple of years. So I think like I've said this millions of times, everybody knows I'm a huge fan. I think that work is just so important for us as women in business, that we need to acknowledge this shadow side. Where is this little girl operating, and where can we kind of, allow her to have her tantrums, allow her to have her fun, but come back, center ourselves as the woman in charge, and then allow that to be expressed through the messaging, through the photos, through the client interactions, all of that.
All of that. Well put.
So as it's obvious, I'm a huge fan of your work. And if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you do know that Lauren has been on this show before, that Lauren and I have worked together, that she was my mentor from, the last couple of years. And now we've actually switched roles a little bit in 2024 at the end of 2023. Just a little bit. And I'm now her cosmic business support, I guess, advisor and copywriting advisor, because I blend the way it works is it's a blend of, looking at what's going on in your chart, looking at what's going on astrologically for you, but also, with my understanding of marketing and copywriting, being able to really help you hone the message and make sure that it is aligned with who you are, naturally, your natural natal energy from that birth chart. And I guess I'd love for you to just look back at, why you wanted to do this with me in the first place and what's kind of come out of our journey together and so far, because we're still on the journey. But yeah, what was it that kind of drew you into this idea of getting more connected with your own astrology chart and working with that to amp up your messaging and your clarity and that kind of thing?
Mm. Well, first of all, I'll speak fast because I've got a lot to say. I imagine we'd need a whole other episode for it, where I just blubber through my words for 45 minutes and go, it's been amazing. It's changed my life. But really the origin point was, like, I obviously always loved your work. I love the mission. It made total sense to me. Like, you came to me with a bit of doubt and I was just like, this is a no-brainer. Just it was so clear to me. It felt so good. It felt so grounded and solid, which is very much your charts, I've since learned. And I've always loved astrology. I've never told you, but I did a little project in year 7 or 8, a science project, which was following my Libra horoscope every day and saying whether the things came true or not, like doing a scientific study. I haven't told you that, but I've always loved astrology, but I never had depth with it. I say this to you even today. I say astrology is so beyond me. Like, I don't want to actively learn all of it. I just have no compulsion to do that.
Yeah.
So what I love, and that's a really good thing, because what I love is you're just my oracle and can just tell me what I need to know when I need to know it. Like, I don't want to know everything. I just want to know, how does it apply to me? How can I apply it, like, in this moment? And then I'll forget what the fuck Pluto does, or like, and then you remind me in however many months, like, then that's good. Like, I just want what I need when I need it. And I knew that was accessible to me if I worked with you, that it would just be, it's so much more than that. I'm not doing it justice, but I knew that I just wanted that access. Just tell me what I need to know for me so that I can leverage my power, my pleasure, my talents. I know I've got gifts and I know I'm made of magic, but the reason why I needed to work with you is because that magic wasn't grounded and I couldn't ground it on my own. I remember last year in 2023, just sitting there going, I'm just waiting for the magic, like, wand to show up in my life, but was not looking for the magic. I was just like waiting for something out there to ground me, and I didn't have, nothing was coming through until we were in conversation again. You were an integral part of one of my offers as an astrology expert. And then we started the conversation, and I never forget you go, what are you doing? What are we doing? And I just went, but I needed that. I needed someone to go, like, what are you doing? You are just pulling stuff out and throwing it out to the wind. And the more I did it, the more I was losing my magnetism and the less my offers were working. And I was just, I just knew I wasn't in my full power. I needed to get back. So since working with you over the last number of months, it's just been this rebuilding of my business, but also repurposing of my messaging and being smarter about what I do, more organized. Like, it's just not my strength. I've got other incredible strengths, but that's not quite mine. Creating an order and a process and a sequence, just cleaning up my business so that I'm not reacting to it as much as I was. And I want to give myself credit. I've done some amazing things. And those things can only be more amazing and more impactful, which is the point, if they are grounded in more of the methodology and the strategy. And so Sophia knows my birth chart. There's no earth in my chart, and there's hardly any water. It's fire and air.
Yes.
And so because of that, and because of my physical body being so fiery as well, I need that earth that you've got to support me to grow something that I want to grow, that I could not do on my own. I want to emphasize that. Could not do it on my own. I'd still be pedaling today if you hadn't have just been honest with me and said, what are you doing? Like, you knew that I had it in me, but you could also see that it just wasn't what it could be without the strategy piece. And that was really powerful for me to have someone say that to me. So don't ever afraid to be honest with people. If you're listening, cannot tell you how fucking refreshing honesty is, to say the thing. And you know what? That can steer someone in the right direction that just wasn't available when they're in their own head and in their own reality. Yeah. So I'm immensely grateful. Immensely.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think you're not unlike many entrepreneurs who have all of the fire, all of the air, all of the ideas and inspiration, and just need a way to kind of ground it and kind of make it tangible and make it work.
Yes.
Because that's like, I see the brilliance. The brilliance is there. Like I've like we've been talking about this whole conversation. The brilliance is there. This is something that is really needed, and the way that you express it and the what you can do with it is amazing. But sometimes it needs that kind of that grounded strategy and the methodology that just keeps it working, because it's a business, and businesses need that kind of, they need that foundation in order for it to kind of, that engine to keep moving along. Otherwise you end up in that kind of boom and bust creation phase, which I see so many. And it's not just like, this is I'm not an expert on your human design, but I know this is kind of a manifesting generator thing as well, right? Where it's like you've got all these ideas and all this excitement and surges and all of that stuff. And obviously I'm a generator, so I kind of, I just keep on going. Well, within reason. But sometimes you just need those huge ideas and that passion and that inspiration and those creations to be brought into a tangible form in a kind of methodical way.
Exactly. Yeah, that
And
really resonates. My surges are incredible as a man gen, and the whole thing is, we are out of the box thinkers. We want to skip steps. I love skipping steps. I love just going straight to like the organ, like the peak experience part. And what you've taught me is, reminded me, I should say, is that there's a lot of pleasure in the foreplay and the preparation and the setting the space and the, just to use that bedroom metaphor, that there's so much pleasure in that part as well. And it does make the orgasm even better than when you rush through.
You're leaning back into like this sensuality of the slower pace. Right?
So it's been absolutely incredible. You are, I'll shout about you from the rooftops. It's like I want to tell everyone about you, but I don't. You're my secret weapon, and I'll let you are to myself. But in all seriousness, your work is so powerful. It's the energy, it's the magic, it's the cosmos, it's the strategy piece. It's all of that rolled into one really powerful experience. And I just can't even see the future where you're not a part of it. I can't even see that far ahead.
Awesome. Love it. Well, I love working with you, and I'm really excited to see what comes next, what's birthed next, what's kind of, I guess, what's gonna come through this foundation that we're building together as well. So why don't you tell us a bit about how people can work with you, because as a former client, obviously highly recommend it. And I know you've got some amazing stuff coming up. So what's the best way for people to connect with you? What's the first step that they should take?
The first step is, I have an incredible training about elevating and stepping out of your little girl operating system and into your climactic operating system. It's short, it's to the point, it's visual, it's tangible. You'll be able to feel and experience exactly how you can move from this current state that's running your business, maybe even your bedroom, and what is the more that is available to you when you experience what it is to be climactic, and the range of and breadth and depth of experience that's available to you. That would be the first point I recommend. It's a private training between you and I. Another way to really experience the visual, my love of beauty or my Venusian charm, is through Instagram, Lauren White AU, where I really love matching the music, the visual, and the words together. It's makes my inner teen who made mixtapes incredibly happy and satisfied. So I love Instagram, and my offers that are out there at the moment. Climactic is my peak offer, and you step into a climactic private intensive. We look at your business over a half day. You will experience luxury, you will experience revelation, you will be illuminated as to what are the current bottlenecks, energetic bottlenecks that are happening within your body and business, and how we can relieve you of those bottlenecks so that you can activate that climactic energy and infuse it into all aspects of your business, who it is that you work with, how it is that you receive money, how it is that you speak, how it is that you hold yourself, all of it. So we do that over a half day experience, and you can see that, get a taste of that through my climactic program page.
Awesome. It sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I can't wait for people to experience that with you.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
yeah, I will put all of the links into the show notes for everyone. You probably can hear the baby right now. So I'm going to have to go. But yes, I'm really excited for everyone to get to know more about your work and your upcoming podcast. I will, if it's not going to be out there when this episode airs, but when it does air, I will be letting everyone know about that as well. So
thank you. Can't wait.
really excited to see what comes next. Thank you so much for joining me again to have this chat about taking our power back and getting more visible, and getting our true authentic essence out there into the world. So
absolute pleasure, and
huge
likewise, and I
gratitude.
can't wait to have you on the podcast in the very near future.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you.